procession for the inaugural
What a great honor to be able to introduce for the first time ever.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Jazz Broganzo here. Another What's Next weekend edition. Happy Sunday. The last couple of videos, I've said I'm going to have fun with this one. But this one in particular, I'm going to enjoy. The woke mob of 2021, the cancel culture of 2021, sadly, some of it came to fruition. Others blew up in their faces in epic proportions, and it was lovely. Mwah. This is one of them. This comes out of Bounding into Comics. The most hilarious woke pop culture fails of 2021. 2021 was a year of sheer madness and rampant insanity. Much of it humorous, a bit frustrating. As the year is coming on, we have 2022 to look forward to, and with it, a chance to start steering the ship back to a semblance of sanity and common sense. From your lips to God's ears. In the meantime, it's cathartic to go back and explore some of the most hilarious woke fails of 21 in all their self-defeating glory. Some of those antics ended up doing more harm for the woke cause, while others backfired in glorious fashion. These represent just a small cachet of the outrageousness that took place last year, but they're some of the best. By far, it's a window into the kind of bizarre demagoguery that has turned the country upside down, sideways, diagonal, you name the direction, even as it proceeds to burn itself out. If nothing else, it's documentation of the lunacy that has infected our pop culture like a disease, like a cancer, and something future generations will look back on with a mixture of astonishment, disappointment, and absolutely what the fuck moments. No particular order, Wil Wheaton hates the whiteness. Extreme radical far leftist Wil Wheaton decided to kick off 21 with a bombshell by labeling himself a domestic terrorist insurgent. Wheaton, who is white, labeled the entire white populace with this moniker, prompting the sane and rational to bounce back and forth between confusion and laughter. The rationale behind the ire was in response to the January 6th riots, the so-called incident at Capitol Hill, of which not a single Republican in Congress condoned. Naturally, Wheaton had next to nothing to say about the mass rioting of 2020, the burning down of at least over a dozen cities to the tune of over $2 billion in damage, but those were just peaceful protesters, which took place over the course of a long, grueling 4 months and ended with, $5 billion. Oof, yes, inflation. An estimate property damage, dozen wounded or in dead, including police officers, and countless minority-owned businesses burnt to the ground. Nor did he have much to say of overwhelming majority of Democrats in Congress who openly cheered it, supported it, and in some cases, like Vice President Laydown Kamala Harris, helped bail out violent rioters with rap sheets a mile long. In the end, those who were aware of Wheaton's unhinged past thought little of his latest rant. Gina Carano gets the chop, then makes a stunning comeback. Hollywood hypocrisy reared its ugly head early on in 21, fresh out of a remarkably successful second season of Disney's Mandalorian. Gina Carano, who played Cara Dune on the show, who was its most viable commodity, was promptly fired by Disney after a series of tweets that questioned the efficacy of masks, fascism, the ultra-left transgender movement, the dehumanizing of political opponents, which was akin to the era of the Third Reich, and of course, meanwhile, fellow Mandalorian co-star Pedro Pascal was allowed to keep his job after equating literally half the U.S. to Hitler's Nazi party. The blowback was extreme, and a Star Wars brand took a huge, massive slam as a result. For her part, Gina Carano came soaring back with a new movie deal courtesy of popular conservative outlet Daily Wire. She now stands as an advocate for personal freedom, alternative non-woke entertainment, and human compassion. Batwoman bombs like a nuke. It's safe to say that much of the maligned Batwoman TV series was destined to fail even before the first episode aired. Things only got worse when lead actress Ruby Rose abruptly exited the show, forcing a recast of their heroine. It was the final nail in the coffin for the series, with viewership plunging to historic lows. Naturally, the typical crop of radicals blamed everyone for the show's poor reception, particularly of those, of course, men. The show started off with a nominal 1.86 million average viewers before shedding the bulk and face planting with an abysmal 0.45 million average. Is there such thing as a 0.45 million average? As of November 2021. Batwoman was mired in controversy throughout the entire year, particularly when Ruby Rose engaged in a tit-for-tat series of accusations with the show's creators, citing the on-set tensions and poor working environment. While far leftists involved in the show devoured each other like rabid hyenas, regular folks sat back and nodded. Their suspicions proved right, and of course, we all laughed because of it. Sandy Cortez lies about January 6th. Cortez, the little bartender, as I like to call her, turned herself into a pop culture icon with, of course, her drunken her habits on Instagram. And with that comes an open invitation for ridicule whenever she does something stupid, which is essentially all the damn time. Cortez ended 21 by vacationing in Florida, a state she purports to hate from top to bottom, particularly because of Governor Macho Man Ron DeSavage, who is rumored to make a presidential run in 24. However, AOC thought it would be a good idea to lie openly about her presence during the 6th riots, making it sound as if she was just mere inches away when it turned out to be she was in another building across town. In truth, she was never in vicinity of riots, nor did any of the perpetrators in question ever go near the building she was in. She was a typical disingenuous politician who went down the southern border during the Trump administration in order to take a photo of herself crying in front of an empty parking lot. Sadly, there's more to come. Joss Whedon goes down in flames. Hollywood loves to virtue signal and talk down to everyone else of how they should change their attitude and adopt their particular line of reasoning. Yet, it seems that most despicable people lie within their own ranks, which includes prolific writer-director Joss Whedon. His career effectively came to an end with a thud after numerous stars accused him of abusive behavior on the set, and of course, that wonderful Justice League movie that, thank God, got corrected in the Snyder Cut. The smoke was too volumetric to ignore, with celebrities like DCEU's Ray Fisher, former Buffy Vampire Slayer star Charisma Carpenter, all raking Whedon over the coals. Fans watching from the sidelines immediately thought of Harvey Weinstein scandal, where this type of behavior went on for years, for the better part of 30 years, and Oprah knew about it as well as many others. Anyone knew about it and yet did nothing. In their quest to banish Whedon into the phantom zone, Hollywood once again exposed its own corruption and hypocrisy. Coca-Cola reaps the whirlwind. Popular soft drink maker Coca-Cola decided it would be a great idea to emulate Gillette's disastrous business model by jumping on the woke corporate bandwagon. The company announced that it would be pushing diversity training and forcing employees to be less white, an idea which was already losing popularity with the majority of the country overwhelmingly due to virtue signaling and false narratives. Things got worse as it revealed that Coca-Cola lobbied against a bill that would have banned all products created in China's Xinjiang province, which utilizes forced human slave labor, and of course, the encampment and killing of Uyghurs, Muslim Christians. The resulting blowback was instantaneous, and it didn't take long for the company to realize that they stepped in a particularly massive rake. Coca-Cola failed to factor in how easy it was for consumers to switch to Pepsi with no change, aside from a different colored bottle. The left tripled down on the racism. 2021 was stuffed to the brim with gaffes from the leftists who claimed to be fighting for racial equality, yet spouted some of the most vitriolic racism imaginable. The Smithsonian Museum of African American History and Culture put on a chart which claimed that individualism, a healthy family structure, focused on a scientific method, strong work ethic, punctuality, politeness were all aspects of whiteness. Next, President Joe Dementia, who has a history of saying extremely racist things, just go back over the last 40 years, including a Senate appearance in 1983, where he basically dropped the M-bomb multiple times. claimed that black people were too stupid to know how to use the internet, couldn't hire lawyers or accountants. Next, leftists in academia boldly proclaimed that mathematics were inherently racist. Yes, 2 plus 2 is 4. How dare you, you bigot. And standards should be lowered so that people of color could get a passing grade. These insinuations are all part of the parcel of the left's inherent soft bigotry of low expectations, which is rabidly racist to the core. Dr. Seuss gets canceled. Apparently, 2021 was the year when the left could no longer tolerate books written by Dr. Seuss, which nobody had complained about up to that point, as in ever. The decision by the company to strike several of the popular children's authors' works from publication was met with immediately overwhelming backlash by anyone who still possessed basic reasoning skills and brain cells. The goal here was twofold: to cancel yet another part of traditional American culture while simultaneously replacing it with woke propaganda. This would play out later in the year when a massive education sector scandal broke out, where parents were outraged to the brim and found out that pornography was readily accessible in children's schools. Bill Maher wakes up from the wokeness. Yes, he got a taste of the red pill. Bill Maher has always been a difficult celebrity to pin down when it comes to his opinions. He clearly has no love for the Church of Woke and its ideological zealots. In 21, the popular comedian and talk show host began railing against the pervasive toxic wokeness that have infected and hijacked his own side of the political sphere. The right considered this major victory, especially given to the fact that Mayer is brave enough to have roundtable discussions with conservative voices on his own show. This kind of open dialogue terrifies the radical left and must be shut down at all costs. Maher, for his part, doesn't seem to be willing to let up, and his extensive reach has probably opened quite a few left-center eyes over the past 12 months. Marvel and DC propagandize their superheroes. Yes, go woke and go broke. Both Marvel and DC Comics decided to further alienate their fan base and pave the way for anime's continuous market dominance by rebranding their popular superheroes as woke icons. Both companies took two of their signature heroes, Captain America and Superman, and decided to make them the gayness, because this is now the world we live in, because of course it was 2021 after all. The attempt to push literally every single pop culture character into either homosexual or at least bisexual territory is cliche at this point. But the left view sexual identity as a person's sole definite characteristic. There's a theory floating around that leftist governments like the Democratic Party are subsidizing cultural wokeness across the spectrum, and after watching the behavior of Marvel DC, it's a compelling argument, because of course it is. And that's why DC and Marvel comics suck. The Grammys and Oscars collapse. 2021 was a year that broke popular American award shows, and nobody tuned in despite COVID-19 keeping most folks indoors. Both Grammys and Oscars met abysmally nightmarish ratings, crashing headfirst into the concrete. Naturally, leftist pundits and apologists came out of the woodwork to sling every excuse they could think of, but the writing was already on the wall. The decision to prioritize diversity and inclusion over talent and quality was bound to have immediate impact on popular culture. And the poor ratings for both the Grammys and Oscars proved that people were all too willing to tune out and do something else. The backlash was felt across the board in 2021, even in popular sports leagues. Goes on longer, but you guys kind of get the gist. And that, my friends, was just part one. Part two tomorrow. And with that being said, I'm Jazz Bargonzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more just like this? Please leave a comment below, like it, share, subscribe to it, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.